Hello everyone, my name is Jean-Claude Harerimana. I'm MBA student in Department of Finance. As usual, we used to learn together through online. So today we are going to learn a course called Dissertation. We are going to see how we can write our own dissertation, especially in a bachelor's degree and master's. We used to write dissertation and thesis, so now we're going to see how we can write our own dissertation. So we know that dissertation have 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is all about we want to see the general introduction, and after introduction we try to see the background, the problem statement. We see also the objective of the study. We have 2 parties of objective: general to assess our topic, and for the specific to see the also it divides into 3 parts, where we see the first objective, it's to look on the independent variable. Second, it's all about for dependent, and the third one is for determining the relationship between 2 variables. So also in chapter 1, we try to see the the significance of the study, where we see what is the importance of our research for the researcher. We try to see for the institution as universities, and also we see the significance to the society in general. Also in chapter 1, we try to see the scope of the study, where we try to see the limits of your research, where we see there is conceptual scope, where we try to see we are only limited to our topic. We also look at the geographical scope, where we try to be limited to the geographical, especially where your case study is. We'll be looking also for the third one, which is all about the time. We are trying to be limited by the time that you spend in your research. We try to see also for the conceptual framework. We know that conceptual framework is all about it's a tools that show how the independent variable is influencing dependent variables. Also in chapter 1, we'll be concluding by seeing the operation key definition of those variables. We mean independent and dependent variable, and with its subvariables. In chapter 2, we'll be looking as the literature review. We know that in chapter 2, we try to see the theory that have been written for many researchers. We'll be looking at the empirical review, where we see there are many researchers or the authors who have written or make research for the topic that is related to ours. That's why we try to see internationally, globally, regionally or locally, to see how they have tried to define or how try to come up with the topic which is related to ours. Also in chapter 2, we end up by looking at the gap analysis, where we see that the gap that many researchers have failed to make emphasis on. So for chapter 3, it's all about the research methodology, where we try to see what is the research design. Research design is a blueprint of your study. It is a plan. It is the way you design to collect your data. We try to see the population. We'll be looking at the sample size. We know that there's many mathematicians who try to discover the formula that we use when you are calculating a sample, where we see, according to a man called Gaber and Yamen, who have discovered this formula of determining the sample size. We'll be looking for the sampling techniques, where we try to see the techniques that we can use when you are selecting sample. You know that we have a huge population, and hard to get the sample that you can be assessing during your research. So that's why we need to also understand the sampling techniques. So also we'll be looking at the data collection instrument, where the technique that we use when you are collecting data, there are many techniques. We have questionnaire where we collect primary data. We have, the questionnaire. After questionnaire, we have documentary, we have interview and observations. So in chapter 4, we try to present, we interpret, and we discuss about data, where we try to use descriptive for qualitative data, and we try to analyze the relationship, where we use the correlation. And we'll be ending up in chapter 5, where to try to see the conclusion and suggestion. So without delaying, this is all about the 5 chapters that we use when you are writing dissertations. So now I'm going to take one example topic that will be helping us now to have common understanding on how you can write your own dissertation. Let's now take an example of a topic so that you can be guided to know how we can write our own dissertation. So we have research topic, which is all about the effect of commercial bank service on performance of micro business in Rwanda. The case study is BPR. Now we want to see what is the contribution of these commercial bank services on performance of micro business. So we have seen that the most problem that these micro business are facing, as under problem statement, many micro business owners, they are facing the problem of insufficiency of capital. They have restricted market access, they have poor capital structuring, they have the limited transport and energy. Those are all main barriers and challenges that micro business are facing. Now we want to assess if now these micro business, if are getting access to those services of commercial bank services, is there make any change for their performance? That is the purpose of our topic. So now also we want to see the objective. We know that research during dissertation, the objective is divided into 2 parts. As I said before, one is to try to see general objective, where we try to assess your topic, as our topic is all about the effect of commercial bank services on performance of micro business. So we try to see how this independent variable, which is commercial bank, will be affecting or influencing the performance of micro business in Rwanda. So for the specific, that the first objective is to look on the independent variable, where we try to assess the services that are given by commercial bank, especially BPR as our case study. Objective number 2 is to look on dependence as performance of micro business, and the third one is all about determining the relationship between 2 variables. So in chapter 1 also we'll be looking at the significance. As I said before, we want to see the importance of this research that you are making. One, it will be important to the researcher because we will provide the knowledge about how this commercial bank services is influencing the performance of micro business. For the UNRAC or the other universities, it will help the student to get secondary data, especially for those who will be making research about the topic that related to this. It will be better for them to get secondary data. And also in general in society, it will reflect, it will show how these commercial bank services are contributing to the performance of micro business. So also we go to what you call conceptual framework. We know that conceptual framework is a tools that show how the independent variable is influencing or affecting the performance of micro business as dependent variable. So now we have seen that the purpose of research is to see how this independent variable, which is commercial bank services, to what extent is going to influence the performance of micro business in Rwanda. So that's why in Independent variable, which is commercial bank services, we are having credit service, we are having saving, we are having business advisory, and independent for the performance of microbusiness to perform well, where it will be depending to the commercial bank services, it will help them for profitability, it will also help them for the business efficiency and also for the business sustainability. So when you say business sustainability, it's all about the ability of organization or the firm to work for a long time. So without drawing, in chapter 2, as I said before, it's all about the literature review. That's where we try to see the literatures that have been conducted by many researchers, and also that's where we try to see in empirical review, where we see the many authors who have been conducted research related to our topic. There are many researchers who have make research, especially they are the one who try to make research to see what is the impact of commercial bank services on poverty alleviation. So this is the one of the researchers who have made the research, but the gap, which is I'm going to talk about, is that many researchers have make emphasis on the poverty alleviation to see how these commercial bank services is affecting or is helping the reduction of this poverty. So, but they have failed to find out to see now what is the role of what is the effect of commercial bank services on the performance of microbusiness in Rwanda. So in chapter 3, we know that it's all about research methodology. Now we want to see, what is research design. Research design is it is a tools, or it is a blueprint of the study. It is a plan. It is a way you design to collect and analyze data. That is all about research design. And under research design, we want to also design the way you will be collecting those data. So we can use descriptive for analyzing quantitative data, and you can use correlation for the relationship, where you want to assess to what extent the independent variable is affecting the dependent variables. So we'll be looking also for the population. You know that population, it is the entire element in your research or in your study. So not always the population means people, but in research, population can be animal. It depends on the research that you are making. So our population, who is microbusiness owner of this BPL as our case study, is 14,484. So now you know that according to main restriction, means, time, and what, you can't assess these people. That's why we come up with a sample size. According to Gabriel, have formulated a formula, as I said before, which you can use for determining the sample size of that population, because you can take all those people we are exceeding 100. So that's why our population, it is 14,484, but our sample size is 99. So now you can ask yourself, now how can I get these people of 99 from the huge population of 14 and above? So that's why we come up with the sampling techniques. So I have used convenience sampling techniques, because sampling techniques is techniques where we use people or the respondent who is ready and available. So I have tried to go through for those respondents who are available and ready to respond. So also we go to data collection. We want also to know which techniques are you using when you are collecting data. So one is questionnaire, the second is documentary, where we try to see the secondary data that you have generated from many literatures, even on website. And also I have used the interview to see is that the answer I get from respondent, as is matching from what I get from the manager of this BPL. So this is the technique that I have used when collecting data. So as I said before, in chapter 4, we try to present, we try to interpret and make discussion about data. That's where we use descriptive for quantitative data. We're determining the frequency and the percentage, and also we use the correlation for determining the relationship, to what extent that the independent variable is affecting the dependent variables. So without drawing, this is the relationship between independent variables, which is commercial bank services, and dependent, which is all about the performance of micro business. So as you can see, is that the commercial bank services is influencing the performance of micro business at extent of 84.4. In other words, the correlation is significant when it is below 0.01. So that's why we can get result in this research by concluding that if micro business owners are getting access to the services of commercial bank, it will help them to perform at extent of 84.4%. So as I said before, in chapter 5, it's all about the conclusion and suggestions. So that's why we can conclude. But before we conclude, let's try to see the recommendation. What we can recommend is to government. We know that the government is not good for lending, but is there for providing or setting the appropriate policies and legal framework that can help the smooth of the commercial bank services. That's why we want to commend to the government that should try to maintain the microeconomic stability and try to avoid the interest rate for guiding also the commercial banks. And also we recommend to government that they can even give freedom for those commercial bank services for developing their own system. So now for micro business, we recommend them that we have seen that the most problem of this micro business are facing, there is poor strategic plan. That's why we recommend to micro business owner to have the appropriate planning so that it can help them to perform well. We know that their concept say if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So that's why we recommend this micro business to have their strong and appropriate planning. So by concluding, as I said before, we have seen that the result from this research is to show that if micro business are getting access to these commercial bank services, it will help for performing at the extent of 84.4%. So now that's why we can conclude that this is the result that come from if this micro business owner are getting access to the commercial bank services, especially BPR as our case study. So thank you and God bless you. This is all about how you can write your own decision. So for more comments, write down and we can get more information. Thank you.